Hey folks, this is Shock, and I logged into my YouTube account and there was a setting there saying that I can now do videos longer than 15 minutes. And a lot of you have been emailing me asking me to do more of the videos on how to debate an atheist, how to defeat an atheist in debate every single time. So now that we can do longer videos, I thought what better way to do it than on this motorcycle right here. This is a Suzuki SV1000, so it's a lot of fun to ride on the freeway. Plus I don't have to be rushed. So here's what we'll do today. I'm going to go through how to debate. I'm going to give you some arguments that you can give to your atheist opponents that really leaves them scratching their head. I'm going to talk to you about some of the arguments that the atheists bring up. Now when I say argument, I don't mean like a fight or a battle. I mean these are claims that the other side puts forward, and we're to address those claims. So you guys ready? Now check this out. Look on the inside of my helmet. I have my helmet on. See these Velcro straps right here? Now I'm going to show you the front of the camera, and you'll notice there's Velcro straps there. So I have the hard Velcro right here on the inside, on both sides, right? And the fuzzy Velcro is on the fuzzy Velcro is on the front of the camera. Check it out. So this is a Kodak V570. We're going to put this camera right here in front of my mouth. Very small camera. Now watch, we're going to be hands-free, see? So I can ride hands-free. Let me get the camera a little higher here. Okay, you ready? Check this out. You know, oh, by the way, you know why we're taking the motorcycle and not the car? Because 4 wheels moves your body, that's all it does, but 2 wheels moves your soul. So here we go. See that? Right here. Motorcycle's all warmed up, ready to go. We're going to do very short street riding and then higher speed freeway riding, okay? Let me pull out first here on the street. And here's what I thought we'd do today. This is going to be a very interesting video. I think you want to favorite this video if you do a lot of debates with atheists. Now, I've debated Muslims, and I've debated Wiccans, pagans, so forth and so on. But since I used to be an atheist, my calling, I really believe, is talking to atheists. I could relate to them a lot better than Muslims or Wiccans, pagans, because I never was a Muslim, Wiccan, pagan. So here we go. What I thought we would do is start off with telling you a little bit about where you can go see these live debates, because they're very, very exciting. And you know, biblically, if we're a Christian, we're supposed to educate ourselves and to be able to give an answer to everyone that asks it. Now, I'm going to tell you why I like debates and where you can go see these debates live right on your screen. You go right below this video. You see right below this video there's a website there. It says shockofgod.net. You go there. Let me open the visor so we don't fog up. And you go into the chat room and have your speakers on, and you'll be able to see and hear people on video and audio debating. I'm in there a lot. I own the chat room, so I'm in there a lot, but chat room's open to anyone who wants to go in there. It helps if you have a mic so you can debate. Now, let's talk about why I like the debate format. Well, if you're a Christian like I am, I'm sure you've been discouraged where you're trying to converse with someone and you're trying to get them to see that their worldview is bankrupt, if they're an atheist, for example, But they don't want to defend their worldview. They don't have any good arguments for their worldview. All they want to do is, attack Jesus Christ or, bash the Bible, etc. So on the debate format style, and here we go, we're getting on the freeway. I like it because you can see side-by-side comparisons. Bear with me here a second. Giving it throttle. Of which worldview makes more sense. And when you put Christianity next to atheism and you look at all the arguments, all the claims that atheism makes, and you compare it to Christianity, atheism loses every single time. My gosh, we've had over 50 debates, I'd say probably more like 59 debates now, in a row where we've defeated atheists 59 times in a row. I'm going to talk to you about, I just did a call-in radio show where I defeated that atheist. And nothing personal to the atheists. When I say I defeated them, I didn't mean I punched them in the face and it was a boxing match. I mean I defeated their argument. So let's start, okay? I'm going to tell you about some of the arguments that I like to give. The first argument that you want to learn, and by the way, you can learn about all these arguments at my website, shockofgod.net, under the links section, L-I-N-K-S, and also the podcast section. You'll hear these arguments given in a real debate, and you could educate yourself on them. I like the ontological argument, and I like the way Alvin Plantinga puts out the ontological argument. Now, what the ontological argument is great for is to put your atheist opponent in the defensive position where they then, because you've given the ontological argument, they have to show that this world is incompatible with the existence of the Christian God. In other words, what is going on in this world that is incompatible with the possibility of the Christian God existing. And what the ontological argument does is it talks about possible worlds. Now, let me be clear. When we're saying possible worlds, I'm not talking about different planets out in the universe. What I'm talking about are possible worlds, worlds of reality, things that can be possible. For example, to say that there could be a world where the spaghetti monster would be president of the United States, for example, is not a possible world. You follow me? So there is no world where the spaghetti monster would be president of the United States. But to say that there's a possible world where Romney or Perry or even Hillary Clinton could be president of the United States, that's possible. There could be a possible world where that happens, even if they're not president of the United States, or Ron Paul, for example. There could be a possible world where those people are president. Now, by the way, I'm going to throw in a little bit of comedy as we're riding, since I got a lot of time on the video. Did you guys hear in the debate where they asked Ron Paul, should Iran be allowed to have nukes? And Ron Paul gives that weak answer, and I like some of Ron Paul's politics, don't get me wrong. But talk about a weak answer. They said, Mr. Paul, do you think Iran should be allowed to have nukes? And he said, here's what he said. I'm going to imitate Ron Paul's voice. Well, I don't see why Iran shouldn't have nukes. After all, Russia and China have nukes. He actually said that. And you know, he goes on to say, and you know what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay. He actually said that Russia and China have nukes, so therefore Iran should have nukes. Oh, what a horrible president he would be. Now, hold on. I got a hit here on my nose. So what's good about the ontological argument, I'm going to give you an example. If you want to hear a debate where I use the ontological argument and I won that debate, I didn't just win it using the ontological argument. I'll give you some other arguments I used. But it's a cumulative case, you know. You use cumulative argumentation to build up your case. So when you're done with the ontological argument, the atheist must then show that there's a world that this world, for example, is not possible. It's not a possible world if the Christian God exists. In other words, the argument puts forth a foundation that this world is clearly compatible with the existence of the Christian God. Now, the atheist will have to bring something up showing that this is not a possible world that will allow the existence of the Christian God. For example, sometimes they'll bring up evil in the world, and I'll tell you how to address that. That's easy. Sometimes they'll say, well, why are there all these religions then in the world? You know, and I'll bring that. That's really easy to address that too. That's even weaker than the evil argument. Okay, I got to get over here into this lane. So that's the first argument, the ontological argument. I have to switch freeways here, but everyone's putt-putting along here. Okay, now let's move along to the cosmological argument. But briefly, before we move along, remember the ontological argument is great. It sets up your atheist opponent, puts him on the defensive, knocks him on his heels, where he then has to show an argument that there's no possible world in reality where the Christian God could exist. He's going to have to show why. Because you just showed that there is a possible world. And do you know most philosophers would agree that even if it's possible for God to exist, even if it's possible, it therefore follows logically that he exists. And the idea of the Christian God is a very coherent idea. So check out the ontological argument at my website, shockofgod.net. Now, the ontological argument, if you're debating an atheist that's, how do I say this in a nice way, that doesn't really have a good IQ, or that's not that intelligent, it's like using a nuclear bomb to kill an ant, a little ant that's crawling on the ground. They won't be able, their minds won't be able to grasp it. But if you're dealing with an atheist that can hold his own, and there's not many of those, by the way, it's good to use the ontological argument because they can wrap their brains around it and understand it, and it puts them on the defense. But the ontological argument is literally like dropping a nuclear bomb on an ant that's crawling on the ground if your atheist opponent does not have a high IQ or doesn't know about philosophy and debate or never has debated before. So now let's move along to the cosmological argument. And here's basically how you set up the argument. Whatever begins to exist, remember the phrase begins, not whatever exists. You say whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore it has a cause. And by the way, we're switching freeways here. Finally, I get out of the slow traffic and watch they're going to hit supersonic speeds in about, I would say, 3 minutes. We're going to curve to the left on this on-ramp. So, you know the argument. Whatever begins to exist, remember, put the word begins. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Now, what usually happens, which way are these guys going? I'm going to go this way. What usually happens when you do that is the atheist tries to retreat from the fact that the universe has a cause, but he just can't retreat. Even Stephen Hawking, and there's a motorcycle rider down there, we'll see if we can catch up.
even Stephen Hawking admits almost everybody now believes that the universe had a beginning. Oh, you know what? I'm going to slow up. There's another motorcycle coming up here on the left, so it's easier for me just to... Well, actually, nah, let's just go. Get you some good footage. So, you go through this cosmological argument, you show them that the universe had a beginning. Now, one of the problems, for example, with atheists, Anthony Kinney of Oxford University says, look, if someone's an atheist, they must believe that the universe came from nothing and by nothing. This is a serious problem with atheism. Now, why does Anthony Kinney say that? Well, for example, PCW Davies says there was no matter, there was no pre-existing energy, even space and time themselves came into existence. There wasn't any eternal pre-existing singularity floating out in the universe. There was no universe. The singularity, wow, this guy's flying. The singularity had to come into existence. So this is a big problem for atheists because they can't postulate that the universe created itself. It wasn't even there to create itself. So they have a huge chicken and egg problem. Now, what you're going to find when you get to this part is the atheist going to want to say, well, energy was pre-existing. No, this is not true. Scientists have shown that there was no energy, no matter, even no space, even time didn't exist. Stephen Hawking agrees. He says that even time came into existence. So basically you have nothing. Now nothing has no power to it. Nothing can't do anything. It's nothing. There is no power to it. So this creates a major problem for atheism. The atheist has to show that the universe just popped into being uncaused out of nothing. Now, I ask you, what makes more sense? That God created the universe or that the universe just popped into being uncaused out of nothing? Why, the atheist view is worse than magic. It's worse than magic because at least with magic you got a magician, you got a hat, and you got a rabbit. But on atheism, you don't have any of that. You have nothing. We don't see things just popping into existence out of... When was the last time you were in your living room and a horse just popped into your living room and started going to the bathroom all over your living room? It doesn't happen. When were you sitting in the kitchen and it just popped into being that a giant hot fudge sundae just popped into being in your kitchen? It doesn't happen. We have causation. Nothing doesn't create anything. So the atheist has to get around this. And what the atheist is going to say, the best thing he can say is he doesn't know. Which isn't atheism at most, at best, that's agnosticism. So he doesn't know. So when you're in a debate, however, you come off looking a lot better because the person that is rational thinking, not the atheist, I'm talking about the people watching the debate, the people that are truly honest and open and they're really looking for the truth, they're not going to take the atheist side that the universe just popped into being uncaused out of nothing. So then here's another thing you postulate in your debate. There's only two types of things that could really have created the universe. Look, we know that whatever created the universe cannot be physical because all matter, space, time, and energy were not pre-existing. And we know that it can't be something that had to be caused because we can't have an infinite regress. whatever created the universe had to be eternal. Well, we know there's only two things like this. I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. Also, whatever created it had to have extreme power, unfathomable power. What else? Well, because it created space and time, it must be timeless. It can't be limited to time. It must be timeless. Well, when you really think about it, it boils down to two things. There's only two things that meet this criteria, and you postulate this in your debate. Either an abstract object like numbers, you know, the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, or else a personal mind, M-I-N-D, a mind. For example, if I told you to think of a giant elephant right now, a giant white elephant, you've got that in your mind. You've created it. You're able to actually create. Now, you don't have the power to bring that elephant into reality, but because you're mortal, you have the power to create this image in your mind, right, of this elephant. That's your mind doing it. Now, when you die, when the doctors cut your brain open, and if they were to have an autopsy, they would not find the elephant. Where is the elephant? And speaking of, here's the motorcycle rider right here. So, abstract objects like numbers do not have causation. They cannot cause anything to come into existence. So it can't be numbers. It therefore follows, he's giving me the peace sign right there. What's he on? He's on a Bandit. What's a 1200? It therefore follows that the more plausible, he's on a Suzuki Bandit, I believe. Yeah, it's a 1200. It's more powerful than my motorcycle. I'm on 1000. I'm on a Suzuki too. My motorcycle, as you saw, looks similar to that. But he's got some good power underneath him there. That's a 1200. So, okay, I'm going to go. I got to go before all the traffic hits me from behind here. Getting rear-ended. These vehicles flying by. So it therefore follows plausibly that the cause of the universe is a transcendent, intelligent mind. Now, it has to be personal as well, because you have cause and effect. And oh, by the way, you guys, you're going to love this this hill right here. We get to do some pretty good speeds up here. Well, let me hurry because I'm running out of time. So that's the cosmological argument. The atheist wants you to believe that the universe just popped into being uncaused out of nothing. Now, why would someone believe that? The only thing I could understand, BMW, I don't know what type of motorcycle, is that they're bigoted and prejudiced towards God. Obviously, it makes more sense that God created the universe. But if someone's bigoted or prejudiced towards God, they're not going to like that. They're going to fight it. You ever try to give like a big dog a bath, and as you're bringing the dog, dragging him to the tub, he's stretching out his legs and he's kicking and screaming and howling, and he's just fighting as you're moving him towards the tub. And that's how the atheist is. The atheist does not want these arguments to move towards God. Unfortunately, they do. They move directly towards God being the more plausible, rational decision. The next argument is the teleological argument. This is one that really buckles the knees of the atheist. It's like as if you were in a boxing match with the atheist and you punched him in the stomach and he got the wind knocked out of him. It really buckles the knees of your atheist opponent. And what the teleological argument is, hold on, I gotta punch through here. Let's hope this guy don't. Is the remarkable fine-tuning that the universe had to have in order to enable us to have life here on this planet. Now, what the fine-tuning is, there's these things called constants. Now, for those of you that are laymen to the fine-tuning argument, the teleological argument, just go to shockofgod.net, you can read up on it. Do you know when the universe was created by God, in order for us to have life here on this planet, there's things called constants, like the gravitational constant or the atomic weak force. Think of it as ingredients. Let's say you're baking a cake, and let's say you got 50 ingredients, I'm just using an example, that need to be just right in order for that cake to come out perfectly. And if you were to mess up on one of the ingredients, the cake would be destroyed, right? Well, there's not just 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 of these constants in order for us to have life on this planet. There's about 50 of these constants that have to be exquisitely fine-tuned. Even their ratios to each other, like a teeter-totter, have to be fine-tuned. If you were to adjust just one of these constants by a hair's breadth, you would destroy life. And you go through these fine-tuned constants, and there's only 3 reasons why the universe was fine-tuned for life right here on our planet. Either dumb luck or chance, physical necessity, or design. You could show that it's not due to dumb luck or chance because the odds are just so infinitesimal that it can't be dumb luck or chance. Otherwise, we'd be seeing life all over the universe. We only really see it here, fine-tuned. Also, chance does not create things. If I went ahead and let's say I had a bow and arrow, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet away, I just shot up the bow and the arrow into the air by chance, it hit the bullseye 50 times. Well, chance, even if you say, well, you got lucky, Shock, that was chance. Well, no, chance did not shoot the arrow, I shot it. I shot the arrow. Chance didn't load the arrow into the bow and shoot it. Chance has no power. Chance does not have causation. Chance is just a mathematical equation that we use to shoot the arrow. That we use to calculate why the arrow hit the bullseye. Chance does not pull back the string of the bow and shoot the arrow. You see what I'm saying? Chance does not have causation. So the fine-tuning is not due to chance. It's also not due to physical necessity. There's nothing in natural law that says those constants should be that way. But there's only 3 reasons why those constants are that way, guys. Either physical necessity, dumb luck, or chance, or design. You can really show, when you look at all those 3 choices, it clearly isn't dumb luck or chance. Chance doesn't cause things. It clearly isn't physical necessity because it's just arbitrary. These constants, they're arbitrary. They don't follow these natural laws. So it therefore follows that the more plausible choice is design. Now, then you go to objective values. That's another argument. You show that we do have objective values. I'm going to put a link below this video. You've got to click it. You're going to hear clips of a debate I had where I destroyed this atheist on the radio show. At first he was saying that rape is subjective, and when I challenged him, I said, that's horrible, that's evil that you would say that. That means in the atheist worldview that rape is okay in some instances, that it's not evil. And I challenged him to give me a reason, give me one instance where rape would be okay. He could not do it, and he conceded that, okay, rape is not okay, it's always wrong. Well, objective values. You talk about objective values, I'm going to put a link there. I got to get off the freeway here, so I got to wrap up the video. But I'm going to put a link below this video so you can listen to that. You talk about Jesus Christ. There's 3 arguments that I go through. I go through Jesus' empty tomb, which has been proven historical. I go through his post-mortem appearances. People saw Jesus alive after his death. Even the atheists Garth Ludemann, who's a New Testament critic, he agrees with that. And then I go through the origin of the disciples' belief. Why would the disciples say that Jesus Christ rose from the dead and be willing to die for the fact of that belief if they didn't believe it? You have to admit they believed that Jesus rose from the dead. These are the same disciples that walk with Jesus. Eyewitnesses. So you bring up that argument. Look at that butterfly flying by in the middle of traffic. But then let me end with the most devastating objection to atheism is atheism itself. Atheism contradicts itself. You got some atheists saying it's possible for God to exist. You got other atheists saying it's impossible. Bring up the 666 argument. You have 666 atheists in a house. 333 say it's possible for God to exist, and 333 say it's impossible. Are they contradicting each other? And you ask your atheist opponent this, and he has to say yes. But atheism says that both of those arguments are truth. How could they both be truth when they contradict each other? How could it be true that it's possible for God to exist, and how could it be true that it's impossible for God to exist? And both of those conflicting messages are coming out of atheism. This makes atheism null and void. You know, every Christian I talk to says God exists. I don't hear Christians saying God doesn't exist. Or it's impossible for God to exist. Christianity at least claims this one message, God exists. You can't argue with that, folks. But the most devastating objection on atheism is that there is no purpose to an atheist's life. There's no objective purpose. On atheism, atheists believe the universe dies, there will be no God to save us, the universe dies, and all of humanity dies. This is what atheists believe. So listen, when the atheist says they're going to make the world a better place and they're going to help humanity, it's a bunch of crapola. You ain't going to do anything as an atheist, because on your worldview, your world dies. You're not going to do anything. Everything ends in death on atheism. Stinking, rotting, sour, pathetic death. So don't buy into the myths that these atheists tell you that they're going to better humanity and they're going to better the world and all this other crapola. No, they're not. They're not going to do anything. Because on their worldview, if you go to the back of the book of atheism, imagine there was a book on atheism, you go to the back of the book, you read how it all ends, it ends in death. Listen to me, atheism ends in death, stinking, rotting, sour, purposeless death. Now, I used to be an atheist, but I chose Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ says that he's come to give us life, and life more abundantly. So you got a choice, folks. Choose Jesus Christ and choose life, or choose atheism and choose death. Stinking, rotting, sour, purposeless death. Hey, go to shockofgod.net, click free chat room, and get your own free chat room. Thanks for listening. This is Shock. God bless you. I love you. And remember, friends don't let friends become atheists.